Good morning. Let me begin with a moment of honesty. Close your eyes and think back to your school years. Remember that knot in your stomach before an exam. The loneliness when you felt misunderstood. The crushing weight of expectations. Now, open your eyes. What if I told you that for millions of students today, these feelings aren't passing moments? They are constant shadows. My name is XING YUANFANG, and I stand before you to address an emergency we can no longer afford to ignore. The mental health crisis strangling our youth. This isn't abstract, it's visceral. It's the student who can't sleep, the teenager who stares blankly at a wall, the child who wears a smile like armor. And the question we must answer today is simple. What will we do about it? So let's go to the first part. The World Health Organization reports that 10 to 20% of adolescents globally suffer from mental health disorders. Let me translate that. In a classroom of 30 students, at least 3 to 6 are fighting silent battles. Anxiety, depression, or worse, thoughts of self-harm. But numbers doesn't scream. They don't show you the 15-year-old who cries herself to sleep, convinced she's a failure. They don't reveal the boy who retreats into video games because real life feels unbearable. Why does it happen? Pressure overload, academic competition, social media comparison, family expectations, emotional illiteracy. We teach outbound, but now how to process grief. We train for debates, but now how to navigate conflict without rage. Stigma. Just toughen up or it's just a phase. Phrases that silence cries for help. This isn't teenage angst. It's a systemic failure, and it's stealing futures. Some argue schools should stick to academics, but how can a child show conscience when their mind is screaming? How can they write essays when their spirit is not? Mental health is the operating system for human potential. Without it, learning collapses, relationships fracture, potential evaporates. Now, imagine a different reality. Schools where students learn to name their emotions, manage stress, and ask for help. Where physically class isn't extra, it's as essential as oxygen. The evidence is undeniable. In Finland, emotional intelligence training reduces bullying by 50% and boosted academic performance by 15% within 5 years. In Canada, schools with daily mindfulness moments saw absenteeism drop and teacher-student trust soar. This isn't theory, it's transformation. When we teach emotional management, we build, first, resilient minds that bend but don't break under pressure. Second, kinder communities where bullying fades and empathy grows. Third, how's their futures? Because emotionally intelligent teens become adults who lead, innovate, and help. So let's go to this part 3. From should to must. So how do we act? We move beyond slogans into concrete funded action. So first, curriculum revolution. Mandatory weekly courses on emotional literacy, designed for each age group. Lessons identify emotions, coping with stress, resolving conflict, and building self-worth. Second, invest in human infrastructure. Here trained counselors in every school. Every school. Remember, every school. Not just one per district. Train teachers to spot mental distress, not just grade papers. Third, culture shift. Create safe circles, peer-led support group where students speak without shame. Launch awareness campaigns. It's okay to not be okay. Posters, mental health days, parent workshops. Fourth, policy and funding. Governments must fund things like the fund STEM. Corporations must sponsor programs. Measure success not just by test scores, but by student well-being surveys. This is not a cost. It's the highest return investment we can make. I'll leave you with this. We are adults now. So ones who inherited an education system built for the industrial age. But the children we serve, they're navigating a digital, fragmented, high-pressure world we never faced. We own them more than formulas and grammar rules. We own them tools to survive their inner storms. So let's now see. Someone should fix this. Let's see. We are building the fix. If you are a teacher, start a 5-minute check-in ritual in class. If you are a policy maker, demand mental health budgets. If you are a student, reach out. Your voice matters. Together, let's create schools where every young person doesn't just succeed, they thrive, where mental health isn't whispered, it's taught. Because a generation with strong minds is unstoppable. Thank you.